folks, Chris Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com, the ChrisVossShow.com. We're going to be doing a comparison video here, of course. We've done many of them you can find on the ChrisVossShow.com. We review all the latest and coolest products in social media and technology. Be sure to check into the ChrisVossShow.com. This is a comparison between two different phones, the HTC EVO V 4G, which you find with Virgin Mobile. This is from virginmobile.com. Thank you to Virgin Mobile for providing the phones for us today. And this is from AT&T. This is the newest Sony Xperia Ion, which is very cool. Hopefully it's slated to get ice cream sandwich here soon. And the HTC EVO V 4G has ice cream sandwich already on it. So we're going to compare these two phones. We're not really going to compare the services. The one nice thing about AT&T is you've got great download, great upload data speed, and all that good stuff. With the Sprint phone, well, Sprint owns Virgin Mobile, let's put it that way, so it runs on Sprint, has the Sprint logo on it. With Virgin Mobile, you can buy the phone outright. I believe it's like $299 as this recording, and you can save probably about $1,000 a month in normal fees that you would pay to AT&T and other services because you don't pay those humongous monthly fees that they do. For $35, you can get a flat, low rate of data, unlimited calls, and unlimited texting. So, on top of these great phones, you want to take a look at what they're going to cost you long-term wise in terms of signing 2-year contracts, or in the case of Virgin Mobile, not having to sign any contract. So let's talk about what the core differences are of these phones. And this is a bit apples to oranges, although it's kind of a good fight because the AT&T Sony Xperia Ion actually runs on Gingerbread, so it's not quite up to date with the class of latest updates from Google Android software. But let's compare the two. We're going to take a first look at the Sony Xperia, and let's get a rundown of what this thing does. This thing's got a, in essence, a LED backlit LCD capacitive touchscreen 16 million colors display, 720 by 1280 pixels, and it's got scratch-resistant glass. It's got the Sony Mobile Bravia engine in it, and it does have up to 16 gig internal, 1 gig of RAM, which makes it run very fast, and it also will have a card slot for micro SD up to 32 gigabytes. I'll show you where it is that is here in a second. Pretty fast on its operation. It's got a 12 megapixel camera on the back, which is probably one of very few mobile phones that can actually claim to have 12 megapixels at this point in time. It's got 1080p 30 frames per second, and then on the front for the camera it's 1.3 megapixels and for its front camera. So let's see, what else do we have here? It runs on Android OS 2.3 Gingerbread. It's planned for an upgrade to 4.0 ICS, which is ice cream sandwich. Runs on the dual-core 1.5 gigahertz Qualcomm chip. And let's see, what else do we need to know about? Standard ion battery, lithium ion, I should say, 1900 milliamps battery, which is a pretty good size. And it's a great phone otherwise. Let's do this. Let's compare and talk about the HTC EVO V. Let's give you a rundown of what's core on this. Both phones, of course, run on the 4G and 3G networks of each network respectively. Let's go to our home screen there. And the EVO V 4G has got 4.3 touchscreen. It's got, let's see, what else do we have on it? We've got a 5 megapixel camera and camcorder. It does 3D HD imaging, which is very unique and different than the Sony Xperia Ion, which does not do 3D, and we'll talk about that here in a second. It has a 1.3 front-facing camera, and it works on a 1.2 gigahertz processor, Android 4.0 OS. It's got an 8 gigabyte card that's included, that's expandable, I should say, to 32 gigs, so it also has a micro SD chip that you can take and plug into. You can actually connect it and output to HDMI, which you can also do on the AT&T Sony phone, which makes it a great gig, a great deal. And it's also the 1730 millihertz amp battery. Up to 6 hours you can take and get on that. So that gives us a rundown of some of the comparisons between the two phones. I believe the Sony is more inexpensively priced in its build, but in the long term, you're going to save more money with a Virgin mobile device. So let's take a look at this. I've used this phone for several months now. I like it. I like the size and feel of it. It's not as big as some of the other Android OSs and phones you're seeing come out, but I kind of like just how it fits in my hand. It feels very comfortable to me for some reason. I just like a thinner, longer phone. I actually like the feel of it better than even my iPhone. I don't know why. It just feels more comfortable with this thinner build, and it's not that much thinner, which is nice. You still get a very good screen. Let's take a look. You've got a home button here. You've got a menu button, a back button, search button. Got a beautiful clear screen to work with. Up top, you're looking at a speaker. Up here, you've got your microphone, or no, sorry, not your microphone, your front-facing camera there. Across the top, we have, it looks like our back's not on all the way. We'll go and click that in position. Looks like we have your microphone area that picks up your sound, and also your earphone area, power button. Down the side, we have a rocker, volume switch up and down, and then we also have something that's really cool, 3D camera switch. You can switch between 2D camera mode and 3D camera mode, and you've also got a shutter switch there for you. Across the back, you can see here we actually have two lenses for taking pictures, and you have two flashes. This works with your 3D mode when you're in 3D mode and helping you take pictures and videos in that mode. So we'll talk about that. There's also the power plug-in down the side, and there's a bottom case where you can pull this off. And let's go ahead and show you how that works. Case easily rips off. It's kind of plastic. It's plastic on the inside with like a rubber grommet on the outside to keep it in your hands. There's also a place here where you can put in your micro SD chip. You can see we've got that installed here, and easily pull out if you want to save your photos and videos to that to make it easier to transfer your computer. You can certainly do that. And of course, you've got the battery there. So let's go ahead and put this baby back together and all that good stuff. So that gives you a rundown of what the body looks like comparatively to everything else. Let's see if we're free to do whatever we want to take and do here. Let's go and set that aside for a second, and we're going to take a look at the Sony. With the Sony, what we're looking at is we've got a really big screen. You can see here you've got some smaller placement of the menu, home, back, and the search mechanism. It's always funny to me how they switch all these things around. I have like 5 Android phones now. I never know which way I'm going, whether I'm going back, up, or down, and around. Great thing about this is it's got a beautiful visual screen. You can see up here at the top, you've got your camera eye. You've got probably a little bit of a speaker here at the top. Going across the bottom, you may have a input hole, microphone hole. I'm not sure if that's what that is or not. Going down the right side, you've got a shutter button for your camera and video so that you can activate them there. You've got a rocker up and down, a volume increase, volume decrease. You've got your power button right here. So everything, a lot of different instruments are being able to do from here. On the top, you've got a centralized earphone button, or earphone area, I should say. This is kind of nice where this is in the center because it just makes it more comfortable. You don't find in either way you might be holding the phone in your hands. You're fighting the earphone, which I tend to do on the iPhone and other devices. Down the left-hand side, you got something interesting you don't find on most Android phones. It's kind of a fold-out area, and on one hand you've got the place where you plug in to charge your phone, and you can of course do a data USB plug-in, but you've also got an HDMI mini HDMI output to TV. There's some amazing things you can do with this we'll get into later, but it will plug into your HD TV, which is pretty freaking awesome, and we'll show you how that works in a bit. That's one of the great things about the phone. There's a number of other accessories. If you look on the Sony Xperia website, you can see the accessories that they have. They have different side holders that charge the thing and hook it into an HDTV and different other things you can do with it. Now on the back, we've got, of course, a flash here. We've got a speaker. We've got the camera lens, of course, on the back. We've got the logo, a little button there, and the Xperia thing. Now the top here does come off. Pops off, and in here you can see that we have the SIM card, and then of course there's a place for a micro SD card that you can take and plug into there. So very cool from that element of all the different things you could do. I really like holding it. It's beautifully thin. It feels like an Bliss sort of device, a big black thing. Big black, like what was that movie, Space Odyssey 2012? Kind of reminds me of that. It's a very good feeling in your hand. So let's compare the two different phones side by side, and we'll go through some of the different aspects of it. You can see here that on the screen on the Sony is a little bit bigger, and let's take a look at the width. Yes, you can see it's a little bit wider, not much. It's very close, but it definitely is taller in its look, so that when you're watching something, you're probably going to see and enjoy stuff a whole lot more on the Sony, of course. Taking a look at some of the phone issues and dialing and all that good stuff, you can see here how this dials. Now this is, of course, likely going to change some of the different software and setup as you deal with the update that should be coming out for the Sony. Hopefully any day now. They announced that it would come out. You can see the notification set up here. I do like the menu system, of course, the ice cream sandwich. This looks very plain and boring to me with just the white and all that good stuff. You have access to your settings, of course, over here, which is really, really nice. Now, of course, with let's see what we can get. One of the issues that I have had with the Sony is you have to get right above the button, and it's not on the button per se. It's actually a little bit above the button. It's kind of weird where its contact position is, and so you have to hit above the button where normally you'd want to hit down here, and that's your first habit when you get it. Kind of a little bit bothered by that. It also tends to activate itself like most Android phones. If you're playing a game and you get your thumb over in the place, it will pull you out of the game. One of the things that I really dislike about the Android phones. What's nice about the Sony, it doesn't do that as much because it's not pushed as first to the corner, but if you hit low on the button, if you see what I'm doing here, it won't activate itself. You have to hit higher up on the button to get it to go. Let's talk about the cameras and how they work and what they do. Now, this really is an apples to oranges argument when it comes to the cameras, because obviously this is a 5 megapixel camera on the HTC EVO, and there's a 12 megapixel camera on here. But they do have a pertinent point of argument that we'll talk about as to the differences between them and some of the benefits that each have. Okay, so now let's take a look at the two photos that this thing will take. We've got the Sony photos. The Sony photos come out really well, very high in detail, really good shots. A little high on the yellow, blues, and greens side that we found. Let's go and flip through some shots here. You can see the video comes across really good. I'm not sure how much you're going to get this on two-screen pass-through, but you can see here it's got really clear, very strong clarity when it comes to its videos and shots, the colors, all that sort of good stuff that you can see there. So it comes out with really great video and photos. You can't beat it. And of course, you're cheating. You're playing with the 12 megapixel camera, so it's hard not to be able to come up with great photos that way. With the HTC EVO 1, you can see some of the photos that come out. You get good photos. It's a 5 megapixel camera, of course, and you can get good quality shots. You're not going to get as rich a color as, of course, you would with the Sony, but you know, it's a difference of the quality of what you have in the camera, of course. But it comes out with really good shots. But the great thing is you have the element of the 3D, where you can have 3D shots and be able to play them. So let's see if we can't find my 3D videos that I have on here. And here's one you can see. Now, what's really cool about the EVO V4G is they've made the screen so that you don't require having 3D camera glasses to be able to see the 3D, and you'll be able to catch some of this here as we take a look at it. You can see here, you can tell there's a three-dimensional aspect to it. It's much more clear, of course, when you're looking at the screen directly rather than through another lens like we are here. But it's a lot of fun. I got to tell you, I really love this phone from the 3D aspect of being able to make 3D movies and be able to upload them to YouTube. And of course, the cool thing is on YouTube, you can take and share them with your family and friends. If your nieces and nephews, like I do, have 3D glasses at home, they can enjoy the home videos you make. So the 3D is really cool. You can take 3D pictures, 3D video, and everything, and it comes out really well. It's nice having the shutter button, of course. that makes a difference for you. But we had a lot of fun with the 3D element of the HTC. It is something that makes it very fun. If you're going to pick one of the Virgin Mobile phones, I would definitely recommend this one for the 3D aspect of it, because you can always switch back to 2D if you like, but you've always got the 3D you can fall back on. And let's give it to, in the future, maybe everything will be 3D. Who knows? So, in the end, we really like both phones. Both phones have very strong aspects and can hold their own. Some of the holdbacks are, I wish the Sony would have the ICS, the ice cream sandwich on it, and the HTC does, which makes it very nice. They're both very fast phones when it comes to speed. Okay, let's take a look at some of the app opening for different apps that you can take and utilize on both these. Let's open the Play Store and kind of see the speed times and how they bring up. Looks like the Sony might be a little bit faster in this case at pulling up stuff. Let's see how well they each pull up their different aspects of downloads, etc., etc. And looks like we're still loading there. We're still loading. And looks like we have a lot going on. Looks like should we pick a winner? No. Everybody's still trying to come up with something. There we go. Looks like the Sony's just a little touch but faster in downloading apps and everything else. I think we have a really weak Wi-Fi signal. We're kind of at the end of the range of our Wi-Fi, so that may be some of it. You can see the bars are pretty low. So the Sony was a little bit faster there. Let's take a look at the few other things. Let's try Netflix for fun. We'll try Netflix. We'll hit the buttons, see how quickly they load. You can see obviously the Sony was a lot faster. And of course it has a bigger gigahertz to it, so it can rock and roll and all that good stuff. But the HTC holds its own. It's a great phone for its size. It fits very well in the hand. I like how the Sony fits also in the hand and all that good stuff. So you kind of get an idea as to how both phones work and what they'll do here for you. Comparable speeds, the real system, and you see the issue that you have here with the Sony. There's a real button issue in getting the buttons to activate. You've got to hit it right, you've got to hit it wide, and you've got to hit it high, which is one of the things that I really don't like about the Sony. Sometimes you'll sit here and press the button a couple times. So both phones are great phones. You can get this from AT&T and AT&T Wireless Division. You can also get this HTC EVO V4G from Virgin Mobile. Check out both phones, decide which one you want. Of course, you can take a look at the plans. With the HTC from Virgin Mobile, you can save probably about $1,000 a year in service charges that you would normally pay for 2-year commitments, all that good stuff. With the AT&T service, of course, you get the great downloads, the great uploads, the great speed of their 4G network, which is much faster than anything else, Verizon and Sprint. And you can really rock and roll that way. Pick the phones that work for you and your budget, and be sure to check back into the ChrisVossShow.com often and see what we have to offer. Thanks for coming by.